speaker from project from Pathways. His speech is 5 to 7 minutes long. The title of his speech is Dodging Bullets in the Age of Aquarius. Please welcome Bob Ransom.
The year was 1967. The age of Aquarius was dawning, and at 23 years old, with college graduation looming ominously on the horizon of my life, I was lost. No direction, no goals. I had nowhere to go, really nothing to do, and my grades were lousy, barely able to graduate. I had majored in having a good time. I met an astrologer. She insisted on preparing an astrological chart detailed about me and my life. She said it might give me direction. I read that astrological reading with great interest. It didn't make any sense. It said I could be a poet, a teacher, and the biggest joke of all, a lawyer. A lawyer was not even hiding in the deepest recesses of my imagination. I had never written a poem, and I wasn't qualified to teach anybody anything. I dismissed the entire astrological reading as a work of fiction. Seeing it as a work of fiction enabled me to overlook something else that chart said, that I would in my lifetime have several life-threatening, violent situations. Thank God it was fiction. And then little did I know that just a few months later, my new girlfriend would get pregnant. Her father was a big-time lawyer in Ohio, well connected to Ohio State Law School. He said, not only are you going to marry my daughter, but I am going to get you into law school and pay for it. Presto, I was a lawyer. Several years later, just by luck, I had some poems published, and at the end of my career, I became a teacher, teaching young lawyers trial practice. Unfortunately, the violent incidents, life-threatening incidents, also came true. There were 3 of them. The first one occurred as I opened a storefront law office in the underprivileged section of Denver. One day I stood on my front steps, just watching traffic go by, and a man came walking toward me, unsteady on his feet. As he came closer, I recognized him. It was a client of mine, Cecil Carter. He had red eyes, glassy, watery eyes. Hi, Cecil. He responded by reaching into his coat, pulling out a .38 revolver and sticking it in my ribs, saying, if you don't give me all your money, I'm going to kill you. I gave him what I had, and off he went. I ran into my office and called the police. A police car came just moments later. I jumped in the back seat. We careened around the corner, and there he is. The police officer jumped out of the car, drew down his gun, pointing it at Cecil. I knew that Cecil had a gun and was higher than a kite, and I was sitting directly in the line of fire. If Cecil shot, I could be killed. Put your hands up! Put your hands up! The cop was yelling. Cecil slowly raised his hands, stopped at his coat pocket where his gun was. I held my breath, and then his hands went up in the air, and he was arrested. I felt like I had dodged a bullet. My wife at the time thought, you need a safer job. I became a public defender in Jefferson County, Colorado. Part of my jurisdiction was a small mountain town called Georgetown, a throwback to the Old West. One morning, sleepy, quiet morning, I was having coffee with the sheriff. And the sheriff said, "Hey, Bob, would you help get this guy out of jail we arrested last night for hitchhiking? Make a deal with the DA, would you?" And I said, "Sure." And then the sheriff said, "Oh, this is my new deputy, Dan. It's his first day on the job, and he's going to guard the court today." Great. We stood in the court, my client next to me, telling the judge that what we were going to do. And then all of a sudden, wham, he jumped on my back. My client wouldn't, I couldn't shake him off. We knocked over the podium, crashed into the wall, and then boom, the loudest sound I'd ever heard. And I thought, the sheriff is shooting at me. He's trying to shoot this guy off my back. I tried to get down to the floor, and then boom, another shot rang out. My client went limp. The sheriff stood there shaking, smoke coming out of his gun. I checked myself. I wasn't hit. Neither was the guy on the floor. He had gone comatose. They shipped him off to the mental hospital, never to be seen again. Both bullets had missed us by mere inches. I had dodged a bullet in a big way. I thought to myself, this could never happen again, could it? 7 years later, in Denver District Court, I was standing next to my client, a Native American named Kanika Kanaka, a very bad and violent man. We had lost the trial and we were getting ready for sentencing. The district attorney said, "May I have a few more minutes? I'm not ready." The judge said, "Sure." The sheriff started to take my client back to the holding cell. I turned to go get a drink of water out of the courtroom. As I did, 3 men walked past me, and I thought, this doesn't look right. And then bang, 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 bang. There was a shootout between the sheriff and those 3 men. The bullets were crisscrossing right where I had stood 5 seconds before. The men ran out of the court. Kanika was with them, not to be seen again for the next 20 years. I felt at that time that I had again dodged bullets and was lucky to be alive. As I think back on my life and as the age of Aquarius unfolded, I often thought about that astrological chart and the fact that I had dodged several bullets in the practice of law. And I wondered, is all of that astrology stuff just what's so? I don't know. But if it is what's so, I have come to believe that it is also so what? And maybe just a reminder, the truth in life may be stranger than any fiction, be it in a book or an astrological chart. Madam Toastmaster.